they've got the backing of their noisy fans, hence why it's known as the Thunder Castle. And it's a typically muggy evening in Southeast Asia, temperatures of 28 degrees. Not that that should concern Melbourne City too much. The A-League, of course, plays during the Australian summer, so they are well used to playing in warm, humid temperatures.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the teams of Melbourne City FC and Buriram United.
ผู้มีเกียรติและแฟนบอลทุกๆท่านขอเสียงดังๆต้อนรับผู้เล่นทั้งสองทีม Melbourne City FC และปราสาทสายฟ้า Buriram United.
So the fans about to greet the players. A little bit earlier on today, Machida Zelvia of Japan edged out Gangwon by 1-0 in their second leg. The first leg all square in that one, the same as this tie. So Machida Zelvia, first team through from the eastern region to the last 8. 2 more ties to come after this one. Sanfrecce Hiroshima trailing Johor by 3-1 after their first leg. And Vissel Kobe a goal up against FC Seoul. But this should be a compelling 90 minutes, maybe even more, of course. You could have extra time and even penalties to decide a spot in the quarterfinals after that 1-1 draw in Melbourne last week. The official AFC Champions League elite anthem. And as the players go through their high fives, that's where the spirit of friendship will end, of course, at least for the next 90 minutes. Where you can take a check on how the two teams line up this evening. Well, Buriram United were able to rest most of their regulars for the weekend league game against Nakhon Ratchasima. The likes of Sandy Walsh, Curtis Good, Eduardo Mancha, Robert Zoul, Kingsley Schindler, Ko and Bissoli all return. Bissoli has 33 goals in 36 games in all competitions this season. His form is keeping new arrival Casper Juncker on the bench, where he is joined tonight by Kenny Dougal, the Australian international, who's now recovered from injury. All told, their starting 11 contains 9 different nationalities. Supernat, the only Thai starter this evening. Two skippers, Goran Chausic and Aziz Bayic. Our referee is Kim Jung-hyok from the Korean Republic, assisted by Park Kyun-yong and Jang Jong-pil. And Che Sang-yop is the 4th official. And in VAR, should it be required, we have Kim Woo-sung and Choi Hyun-jae. Now, Melbourne City go with an unchanged 11 from the first leg. The team had the weekend off from A-League action and arrived in Thailand on Sunday, so plenty of preparation time. Top scorer Max Caputo is again kept out of the 11 by Medin Mehmeti. Marcus Younis has 3 goals and 3 assists in 7 games since arriving on loan from Brøndby in Denmark. Takeshi Kanamori, Matt Leckie and Andrew Naboot all remain on the sidelines due to injury. There is Supernat, the only Thai starter, 33 times capped by the Thai national team. Surrounded by a very eclectic mix of different nationalities. A mix that their owners hope will take them even deeper into the Champions League this season. Among them an Australian, Curtis Good, who once lined up in the colours of Melbourne City. He is still their record appearance holder with over 180 matches. There's Ryan Teague, another Australian international, and Patrick Beach, who recently made his debut for the Socceroos. You just got a very brief glimpse of the Melbourne City coach there, Aurelio Vidmar as well. No stranger to Thailand. He coached 3 clubs here in the shape of Bangkok Glass and Bangkok United and BG Pattern United. But as Melbourne City kickers off, perhaps importantly, he lost all 3 of his trips, Aurelio Vidmar, to the Thunder Castle with those clubs in the Thai League. Let's see how his team goes this evening. Task could have been even more tricky had they not found that injury time equaliser. There's Mark Jackson, who won the AFC Cup with the Central Coast Mariners in season 23-24, part of a treble-winning campaign with the A-League club before he made the move to Thailand in October of last year. We mentioned that busy schedule for Buriram. By the way, this is their 43rd match already in those 5 different competitions so far this season. They could theoretically play a total of 61 games. Let's see how they build on the left-hand side here with Supernat. Stepping inside to evade the challenge of Nathaniel Atkinson, helped out by his captain, Goran Časić, a scorer of 2 Champions League elite goals against Melbourne City in recent meetings. This is the 5th meeting in this competition between the two. Melbourne City holding the edge, 2 wins, 1 defeat in that draw last week. They certainly won't be overawed by having to travel to this atmospheric venue here this evening, having won here once, as mentioned, back in 2023. Vidmar, now 59 years of age, very much the senior man. The rather younger Mark Jackson, his opponent in the technical zone, came off the head of Daniel Arzani, sliced into play, out of play I should say, by Ko Myong-sok, young Korean central defender who arrived from Daegu in the off-season. Latecomers continuing to take their seats at this 32,500 capacity stadium, purpose-built for nights like these for Buriram. Here's Mehdi Mehmeti looking to burst through the challenge of Goran Časić, who got the final touch, and it will be a throw-in for Melbourne City. That mixed form for the visitors of late, just 1 win in their last 8 matches in all competitions. That was that crucial 2-1 away success at Ulsan, which confirmed their place in the round of 16. Flicked off the head of Bajic, but not in the direction that he wanted. He scampers back to take possession of the ball. He'll be in North America with Australia, injuries permitting and selection permitting, of course, for the World Cup in a few months' time. Earning the throw-in off Kingsley Schindler. Mehmeti beat in the air. Wouldn't sit for Daniel Arzani. Diagonal switch by Kingsley Schindler. There's a real scrap for possession between Supernats and Harry Shillington. Little roar of approval from the home fans as Buriram went out. Back through Curtis Good into midfield, and Goran Chasic now with Ko Myung-sok. And then rather carelessly given away by Sandy Walsh, the Indonesian international. Beach, very adept with the feet, as proved. Nice distribution to find Shillington. Doesn't panic with the ball at his feet. As his Bajic has, though. Schindler outnumbered by Kuhn and Arzani. Off the head of Ko Myung-sok. Sits nicely here for Andreas Kuhn, who will drive forward for City. Arzani looking to go around the defender, who stood his ground well. Got his body between the winger and the ball. Just drew that little bit of contact, which was enough for the referee's whistle. That earlier scrap between Supernat and Harry Shillington. They're going to have their own personal one-on-one battle. Meantime, at the other end, one for the Korean. His head-to-head with Arzani. Off the heads of Ferreira and then Bajic. Is Schindler. Stepping forward was Suprayan. Sweeping the ball back was Curtis Good. Sent long by Neil Etheridge. Too long, in fact. Vastly experienced Filipino international. 82 times capped, although he's not been selected for the ASCAL since 2024. Says he's not retired from the international scene. Teague, Shillington. Big call by Aurelio Vidmar to maintain the same starting 11. There was some talk that Nathaniel Atkinson might have slipped back into right fullback to give more experience. That was Atkinson sliding the ball out towards Marcus Younis. Looking to hit the byline and find the cross. Kuhn resets it, and Atkinson can't hit the target. First real chance, though, goes the way of the visitors. And it was nicely worked. Younis with the step-overs. Kuhn nipped in at the near post. Atkinson quite a long way off target in the end, firing over the bar. Nathaniel Atkinson yet to score in the AFC Champions League Elite, although he did score in regional competition for his former club Hearts in the UEFA Conference League against Istanbul Başakşehir. Meantime, there is concern over Eduardo Mancha, and already the signal has gone to the bench to make the change, or it looks like the groin has gone for the Brazilian, which is really unfortunate both for him and for Buriram. They do have Sasalak Hyprakon, who is his deputy on the bench. It doesn't look as though Eduardo Mancha is going to be able to continue. Just stretching here, that's where the groin went. And immediately he pulled up. That's going to be Filip Stojkovic, called from the bench. He's barely going to have had any time to warm up. A very early change enforced for Mark Jackson, as Mancha limps away disconsolately. Duct tape applied perhaps to a wristband. Had it been later on in the game, might have had time to take that off, but needs must for Buriram. And it'll be interesting to see whether he goes and plays in that left-back role or plays a more central role with Curtis Good at left-back, which he can play. Looks as though Stojkovic is going to slot in on that left-hand side. Here's Arzani. Buriram certainly won't lose anything in terms of experience with the loss of Mancha. Filip Stojkovic, 33 years of age, very experienced defender. 15 times capped by the Montenegrin national team. Shillington is struggling a bit up against the pace of Supernat. Just about managed to get a toe on the end of that. That's a battle to keep an eye on. Speaks to the earlier point I made about whether they were going to play Nathaniel Atkinson at right back, but they opted to keep him in midfield and play the rather more inexperienced Harry Shillington at right back. Well, he's played plenty of games in this Champions League elite campaign. Schindler's long throw, returned with interest by Shillington. It's going to ball well over the top of the crossbar. No problems for Beach. Kingsley Schindler, 8 times capped Ghanaian international. Plenty of top-flight European experience. Most recently with Samsunspor in Turkey, but prior to that in Germany with FC Köln and Hanover 96. He, you might remember, gave that sumptuous assist for what was a quite brilliant strike by Guillaume Bassoli in the first leg. Could be a rather lengthy spell on the sidelines for Eduardo Mancha. Groin injuries tend to need a little bit of time. Busy schedule for Buriram. Here's Daniel Arzani for Melbourne City. Kuhn, too far in advance of Mehmeti. Kuhn, one of 3 Austrians on the pitch today, along with the Jules brothers, Peter and Robert. Sent forward by Supriyan. Kuhn got a little whack in the back there from Goran Čausić. Free kick for Melbourne City. For whom goals have been a bit of a problem this season so far. Just 30 scored in 29 games in all competitions. Domestically, only Brisbane have scored fewer than Aurelio Vidmar's team. Defensively, they're pretty tight, particularly in this competition. Bajic into the channel for Mehmeti. Wrestled off the ball by Ko Myong-sok. Clipped forward by Curtis Good. Off the head of Ferreira, and then Supriyan. Back by Stojkovic. Now drops for Robert Jules. Away races Supernat on the left, only Kingsley Schindler within range of the penalty area at the moment. comes to naught. Supernat is nicknamed Bank in Thailand. You didn't get much change there out of the Melbourne City defenders. Sani beaten in the air. Off the head of Bisoli. Worked wide towards Sandy Walsh. It's a foul by Atkinson. The Brazilian Guillaume Bisoli. Clearly clipping the ankles of 28-year-old striker. Remarkably has scored 94 goals in just 116 games in 3 seasons with Buriram. They'll be looking to get on the end of this, along with the likes of Curtis Good. Plenty of aerial threat there for Buriram. Shillington keeping a watchful eye on Ko Myong-sok. All in readiness for Peter Jules' delivery. Nice tail to it. Needed that intervention off the head of Harry Shillington. Was lurking just behind him was Goran Chasic, the Buriram skipper. It's going to be the other Zul, Roberts, with the corner in towards the near post, and it went all the way through. Beach gets half a punch away and volleyed over the top by Peter Zul in the end. Good chance that for Buriram. Well, it cleared all the players at the near post, up but not away off the head of Shillington. And the same story off the fist of Beach. Didn't really get the distance. But Peter Zul had to take it first time under pressure and put it over the top. The closest either team has come so far. What has been a pretty tight opening 17 or so minutes. Here's Peter Zul and Supernat. Away from Shillington, Ferreira across to provide cover. Oh, a little stumble on the pitch there by Peter Zul. Rather strange, appeared to just kick the turf. And the shooting chance was probably on for the Austrian. Here. Yeah, it just seems to catch his studs in a divot in the turf. No opponent around him. And the chance disappeared. The Vuvuzelas are back. Last heard by most around the world at the World Cup in South Africa 2010. Have we missed them? Depends on your opinion, I guess. As is Page telling Kingsley Schindler to get up in no uncertain terms. Kim Jong-hyuk is taking counsel from his eyes in the sky in VAR. Awkward fall for Andreas Kuhn. The first time he and Goran Časić have tangled in the air, and the Austrian has come off second best. Buriram though have the ball. Supernat away from one defender, but knew that Atkinson had got goal side pretty quickly. Shillington robbed very aggressively and then appears to trample all over Harry Shillington. Atkinson infuriated, and all of a sudden it's on for all money. Well, it was certainly a foul, but I think it was the aftermath that irritated Nathaniel Atkinson. Although probably needed to be a little bit careful to get that much involved. It was seemingly a nothing situation. Shillington having a little look around to see who was arriving. Okay, that's a foul, but it's that little stamp afterwards by Robert Zuul there that we don't quite catch on that camera angle that irritated Melbourne City. And then it was an all-in wrestling match. And now it's on referee Kim Jong-hyuk as to what, if anything, he wants to do about it. Robert Zuul will hope it's just a foul. Neil Etheridge is told to return to his penalty area. This might give us a better angle. That's the foul. It's that there, stepping on the elbow of Harry Shillington. It's a red card. Straight red card for violent play for Robert Zuul. And unless VAR is going to intervene and reverse that verdict, Buriram will have to play the rest of this second leg a man short. And that might mean further changes off the bench for Buriram, not least because they've got a player down injured at the moment, which I think is Supernat. He did pull up a little short in that previous exchange when he went to set off and chase Nathaniel Atkinson. Just there, it seems he felt something go, a hamstring perhaps. Goodness me. Well, this goes from bad to worse for Buriram. Robert Zuul sent off, Eduardo Mancha already on the treatment table, and maybe Supernat about to join him. Tactical rejig required. Curtis Good and Captain Goran Časić has to come and have the conversation. Meantime, Robert Zuul will play no further part after that stamp on the elbow of his opponent, Harrison Shillington. Meantime, Supernat will leave on a stretcher. And maybe this busy schedule for Buriram, even though they've got a big squad and they were able to rotate at the weekend, is starting to have an effect. Supernat, by the way, was one of the players who did play in the league against Nakhon Ratchasima at the weekend. Robert Zuul must take his leave. Supernat, the rather quicker route. Well, there's two, maybe even three, or even four stamps or kicks at Harrison Shillington. And I don't think Robert Sewell can have too many complaints. He wants to continue the conversation with the fourth official, but it's all going to be to no avail. And Mark Jackson has got a big problem now. And all rather needless, you have to say. Ball certainly wasn't in a dangerous area. Supernat is inconsolable. Sometimes players just know, don't they, if it's a serious injury. And there's the change. Kenny Dougal, the Australian international, who takes over the captain's armbands. He's been out for quite a while with an injury, but made his return off the bench in the league at the weekend. Player that knows Melbourne City well. Started his career with A-League outfit Brisbane Roar. Now Melbourne City really do have a massive chance to seal what would be a first ever place in a Champions League Elite quarter-final. They should now be able to dominate the play despite the conditions, despite being away from home. And remember, they've been very good at finding late goals in this competition this season. No fewer than 5 scored in injury time. Five goals also, by the way, scored by substitutes for City. Here's Shillington on the worse for wear for his coming together with Robert Sewell, but giving the ball away to Stojkovic. Here's Peter Sewell, forward to Bisoli. Ferreira got a crucial foot in. City looking to break clear. Metti on the turn, he's trying to angle it out towards Alzani. There's no foul. Sandy Walsh will drive forwards, well defended by Kuhn. And here's Bajic. Quite able to pick out Alzani. Well, this has to be Buriram's game plan now. Look to try and pick Melbourne City off in transition. Stojkovic. Ko Myong-sok. Walsh. Schindler. Out on Bajic. Jackson, no doubt, ruining the stupidity of Robert Sewell, such an experienced player. Such a needless thing to do. Kingsley Schindler is down on the turf, but Melbourne City not of a mind to stop the play. It will be stopped now for the foul on Kuhn, and things just starting to get rather heated. Kim Jong-hyuk having to keep a cool head. Meantime, Robert Sewell has taken his place in the grandstand to cheer his teammates on after his rush of blood. Yeah, Basoli, the latest one to have a chat with the Korean official. Schindler now given permission to re-enter the field of play. Supriad finding a little pocket of space for Bajic, who angles it out towards Yunus. Stojkovic nipping in ahead of him. Certainly not a natural left fullback, Filip Stojkovic. No doubt he's played there before in his long career. There he is again to stop Yunus. Right back is his normal position. Azani. Angle wide by Kuhn. Azani once again. That's a lovely ball. Kuhn will get a corner off Ko Myong-sok, but he was trying to reward the run of Medin Mehmeti more centrally. Important intervention by the Korean defender. City corner, work short, Teague, Bajic, Azani, and Etheridge called into action for the first time. I think it might have taken a little touch off a defender. Had it been a bigger deflection, the goalkeeper might have been in real trouble. It's nicely worked by Melbourne City. Maybe just flicked slightly off the heel of the defender. That's a foul by Medin Mehmeti on Kingsley Schindler, who's complaining that he's been fouled once too often. Maybe just seeking to exact some leverage off that right shoulder of the Ghanaian. Kim Jong-hyuk has had to make one big decision. He's a pretty cool customer. Long by Ko Myong-sok. Looked like a shove by Peter Jules on Shillington. It's going to be a corner instead. Buriram have scored 6 set-piece goals in this Champions League Elite this season. That's second only to Gangwon in the competition. And this might be their best route to goal, given the circumstances. Peter Jules to take. That post was Goran Časić. Breaks kindly for Stojkovic. Back with Peter Jules. First attempt blocked. Second attempt seen away by Shillington. And that'll be a goal kick off Stojkovic. There's that Melbourne City chance a few minutes ago. Very nearly wrong footing Neil Etheridge. Already Abidmar was ready to celebrate. Stretch by Teague. Fortunately, not the pass to match it for City. Marcus Younis been in such good form since arriving on loan. 3 goals, 3 assists in 7 matches. He was best pleased with the ball boy for delaying the return of the ball. Tensions running high at the Thunder Castle. Sent forward by Atkinson. Out for a throw by Curtis Good. Bit of miscommunication perhaps between the defender and his goalkeeper, who did call for it. Ferreira. Shillington. Supriya. All about keeping compact now for Buriram, particularly when they don't have the ball. Shillington finally managing to escape the clutches of his marker. It's a real tangle of legs. It's going to be a Buriram throw at the end of it. Shillington is down hurt. Not the first time he's been in the wars so far today. A fairly hefty bang off Peter Joule. And then again, those legs are left trailing. Oh, Shillington's being battered from pillar to post by the 2 Joule brothers. They are just having a word with Kim Jong-hyuk. That one they are happy to let ride. There's no doubt that Shillington appears to be a bit of a target for Buriram. Soli was closing in there on Bajic, had to get rid pretty quick. Australian international. Sent wide by Ferreira. Younis. Supriya. There's Bajic once again, who was in quarter-final action last season during his loan spell with Al Nassr of Saudi Arabia. Got injured in that 2-legged tie and played no further part in the competition. Here's Kewen. Nice little back heel to find Shillington. And Mehmeti was trying to steal on the blind side of Ko Myong-sok. Wasn't too far away from getting through that ball. Here's Arzani. Showed too much of it to Walsh. Teague. City enjoying heavy weight of possession, as you might expect. Bajic ran into a blind alley. Tied it up by Dougal. Stretching was Teague. Atkinson to reset. Bajic. Atkinson. Wouldn't stick for Mehmeti first time. Curtis Good with the intervention at the second attempt, setting Peter Zul away down the left for Buriram. Gets the head up and see what's on offer in the box, and the answer, in all honesty, was not much. He's moved to a wider role since the departure of Supernat. 11 full caps for the Austrian national team. By the way, in this competition, he's claimed 3 assists in 12 matches, but also 8 yellow cards, including 1 in the first leg. Last 5 minutes of an intriguing first 45 at the Thunder Castle. Bajic. Back towards halfway by Kuhn. Melbourne City probing, looking to move Buriram around. Alzani can't skip free. Here's Kuhn. Turn back out, start again. It's well kept alive by Yunus. Shillington, Teague. Kuhn. Ball over the top, beautifully flighted to find Bajic. Kuhn will go for the cross, seen out by Ko Young-sok. One back by Supriyan. All Melbourne City at the moment. Bajic with a bit of time to find the right cross, but it's too high in the end for Medin Mehmeti. It's actually still alive. Briefly for Harry Shillington. It's a little too deep, that cross from Bajic. Foot races on between Basoli and Ferreira. Argentina against Brazil. That particular battle. Chausic. Sandy Walsh at the back post. Easy pickings in the end for Beach. This is perhaps key for Melbourne City. Quick transition when Buriram do commit numbers forward. Kuhn. Space here on the right for Marcus Yunus. Threatening moment for Buriram, and it's across the face. Nobody there to apply the finishing touch for Melbourne City. Yunus, whose delightful cross in stoppage time provided the equaliser for substitute Ben Mazzeo in the first leg. Not quite as accurate on this occasion. Mark Jackson deep in conversation with his assistants. They'll be looking to get to half-time and regroup, maybe a different tactical plan for the second half. Remember, down to 10 after the dismissal of Robert Zul for violent conduct. Alzani looking for Yunus at the back post. Stojkovic with a timely intervention. Bajic able to let that one go. Final minute of the regulation 45. There will be a few minutes of stoppages to be added on, you'd think. Shillington going for the early ball in, but beyond Mehmeti. Buriram penned into their own half. Two coaches about to earn their money. The half-time team talks. I dare say already Vidmar's might be a little more straightforward than Mark Jackson's. Into the first of 6 added minutes. Thought there might be a bit of time to be added on. Shillington did well to control a fast-moving ball. Buriram United, widely believed to be the most popular club in Thailand. Not just in terms of the crowds they attract either. Looking to become the first Thai team to win an Asian club title since the old Thai Farmers Bank went back-to-back in the Asian Club Championship, 1994 and 1995. Just lost out, and Shillington returning from an offside position. And Yunus has kicked the ball away as well, which might get him into a spot of bother. Had a very interesting first 45 minutes, hasn't he, Harry Shillington? Still just 20 years of age. Actually trained with a few clubs in England before, starting with the Melbourne City Juniors, Brentford, Millwall, Wycombe Wanderers are among them. He was clearly offside. Slightest of nudges by Peter Zool on Harry Shillington. Not the first time they've come together. I don't think he's very popular in the Zool household at the moment. It's clearly a foul. The balance had tipped in favour of Buriram at the end of the first leg. Maybe the pendulum has swung slightly the other way now after that red card for Robert Zool. Melbourne City's away record in this competition, quite extraordinary, just the one defeat. It's in 13 matches outside Australia. 7 wins, 5 draws. And even that loss against Vissel Kobe, which was on match day 2 in this year's competition, came courtesy of an injury time goal. They've been very, very resolute on the road, Melbourne City. Mage going first time. Just a touch off Ko Myong-sok. Zani. Whistle's gone. Yeah, it's for offside against Daniel Larzani. Another careless mistake. Here is Robert Zuul, dismissed earlier on for, well, not just one stamp, but maybe even 3 or 4 on the body of the prone Harry Shillington. Yunus. Got a break here for Andreas Kuhn. He can slip the ball through. Arzani's free on the left, and the man in the middle is Mehdi Mehmeti. Oh, it's a big save by Neil Etheridge. The flag's gone up anyway. Wouldn't have counted, but Etheridge was not to know that. And he came out big and strong, narrowed the angle, and made a huge block. Yeah, Arzani again, the guilty party in an offside position. Mehmeti certainly wasn't. And Etheridge with a big save. It's a real test, this, for Buriram now. And of course for Melbourne City, who do have the youngest average age in terms of the starting 11s in this year's competition, at just 23.8 years of age. They've also had to do more travelling than any other team, by the way. 84,000 kilometres, well clear of anybody else. The referee blows for half-time after an eventful opening 45. No goals, one big save by Neil Etheridge that would have been ruled out for an offside flag anyway. One cross across the face of goal by Marcus Yunus. One shot by Daniel Larzani, saved by Etheridge. At the other end, Peter Zuul putting one over the bar, but his brother Robert dismissed for violent conduct. All to play for second half. At the break, it's Buriram 0, Melbourne City 0. Buriram unbeaten in their last 6 home games in the AFC Champions League Elite. Quarter-finalists, of course, last year for the 2nd time in their history. A huge 45 minutes ahead for both clubs. And you also saw that Melbourne City have made a change at the break as well. Kavian Rahmani on to replace Harry Shillington, who had quite the torrid opening 45 minutes. Change 2 for Buriram. Supachai is on for Sandy Walsh. 2 first-half changes, of course, had to be made because of the injuries suffered by Eduardo Mancha and Supernat. Kenny Dougal and Philip Stojkovic already off the bench. So Mark Jackson forced into playing his hand a bit earlier than he would have wanted, but this is a change made no doubt for tactical reasons. And what does the next 3/4 of an hour have in store for us? No goals, but it's been compelling viewing for various reasons. It's a real up and under, beautifully killed by Daniel Arzani. A reminder of the way things stand after the first leg. It was 1-1 in Melbourne, goalless here, so if it stays this way, we'll be heading into extra time, and then after that, potentially penalties to decide a spot in the last 8. Nathaniel Atkinson has now gone back to right back. We talked about that in the first half as to whether he might start there. A little bit more experience defensively. Harry Shillington has been bumped and barged around. He's been trodden on. So he gets a breather in the second half. Kavian Rahmani will play in advance of Nathaniel Atkinson down the right-hand side. Or actually, probably a more central role. I do beg your pardon, with Yunus, of course, on that right flank. And Arzani on the other, who's just been outmanoeuvred here by Ko Myong-sok of Buriram. Another loanee, Daniel Arzani from Ferencváros in Hungary. Another attempt to relaunch his career. One-time boy wonder of the game in Australia. Good stretch, but here's Basoli. Well, Atkinson could only divert it into the path of the Brazilian striker. And how many chances will Buriram get like that? But Basoli put his effort straight at Beach. A reminder for Melbourne City, though, that Buriram still pose a threat. Here's Kuat. On one more by Rahmani. Yunus was sent a bit wider than he wanted. He will get the corner off Curtis Good, though. Big chance at the other end. Came from a long launch forward by Etheridge. Basoli won the initial header and then was in position for the return off Peter Zuul via the boot of Nathaniel Atkinson. Just catching practice at the end for Patrick Beach. Now the corner for Melbourne City. Teague's delivery off the head of Ferreira. Supriyan beaten in the air by the superior reach of Etheridge, who launches it first time upfield, and Beach out to use his head. Good goalkeeping. Melbourne City are stretched. Here's Basoli. Wanted a touch to set himself and was then surrounded by Melbourne City defenders. Yunus was being dragged back by Peter Zuul, who again leaves that leg in just a little bit longer than he needed to. Well, those long launches from Etheridge could be quite the weapon for Buriram second half. Realising perhaps they need to go direct. Peter Zuul being spoken to by Kim Jong-hyuk. Just keep your boots to yourself, I'm sure is the message. It's been a tense evening at the Thunder Castle, and we are still no closer to knowing who will take their place in the quarters. Machida Zelvia are there. They defeated Gangwon earlier by 1-0. Same scoreline on aggregate. 2 more ties in the East to come, to be resolved over the next 24 hours or so. Frecce having it all to do against Johor, trailing 3-1. Vissel Kobe have the home leg to come against FC Seoul with a 1-0 advantage. And the games in the Western region, of course, on hold just for the moment. City now within sight of the longest ever unbeaten run in this competition by an Australian team. Currently held by Adelaide United, 11 unbeaten back in 2007-08. And of course they reached the final against Gamba Osaka under City's current coach, Aurelio Vidmar. City looking to make it 8 unbeaten here this evening. Bajic. Teague, who is on loan with Melbourne City from Mechelen in Belgium. Angle wide by Kuhn. A little bit too high for Arzani. Out of play by Kingsley Schindler. This will largely be the pattern of the game. Second half, Melbourne City will have most of the possession. Buriram trying to remain compact without the ball. Bajic shuts a lovely threaded ball through from Mehmeti, and Rahmani, well, it was on target but from a long way out. And off the head of Teague. Zani looking to get around Schindler. Melbourne City throw. Kindly for Andreas Kuhn. Original pass wasn't intended for the Austrian. That one was. It was misplaced by Cyprian. Difficult for Buriram to get forwards. Chausic looking to go over the top. Settled down by Bajic. City back in control of the football. Schindler doing well. Kuhn. Teague managing to nip in ahead of Superchai. Arzani, did he get a little kick there, Daniel Arzani? From Superchai. of 2 points of contact there. The first from Chausic and the second from Superchai. Kenny Dougal, the captain, asking for an explanation. Injured Kenny Dougal in the ASEAN Club Championship game against Tampines Rovers back in January. Only just back from that injury. Rahmani looking to float it towards Yunus. Volleyed clear by Stojkovic. Peter Zulj trying to link up with Basoli. Here's Yunus. It's pushed over by Stojkovic. Succession of free kicks, niggly challenges. It's a signal for Ferreira and Supriyan to make their way forward. Neil Etheridge hasn't had anything to do as yet in this second half. Might that be about to change? Daniel Arzani on set-piece duty. Just not quite yet. Dougal and Kuhn ushered across for a chat. Basoli wants to put in his 2 cents as well. That was the usual shoving and barging that you get from set pieces, indicative of the tension around the Thunder Castle. The tie so delicately balanced. Arzani, nice tail to it, off the head of Basoli. Melbourne City happy to accept the corner. Nothing Chausic could do. Picked up a yellow card for his part in those protests prior to the free kick. Arzani's corner's gone all the way through, partly away by Ko Myung-sok. Rahmani, Atkinson with the cutback. Oh, and the overhead kick from Marcus Yunus. That would have been some goal had that gone in. The bicycle kick, great improvisation, great impudence by the youngster, but just a fraction wide of the post. Well, he immediately made his mind up to go for the scissor kick. And that's how close it was. Buriram breathing a big sigh of relief. And Kenny Dougal's got a bit of a problem. Well, that's how Basoli talked his way into the book. You can't chirp from the referee like that. It's his second yellow in this tie. Got one in Melbourne as well. He can't be cleared by Atkinson. Could present a chance for Buriram. Slight miscue by Basoli. Rides the challenge of Yunus. Buriram still posing a threat, but not with passes like that from Ko Myong-sok. City looking to spring forward. It's a poor release by Atkinson though. Arzani applauds the intent. Atkinson apologises for the execution. And the home fans looking to do their bit. Schindler's long launch off the head of Supriyan. So they had a beaten in the air. Here's Peter Zul. That's Basoli outside him. He went for goal. Basoli again. Peter Zul with a little chip back into the path of Basoli. Sorted out for Melbourne City by German Ferreira. Arzani just delayed too long. But the home fans encouraged. They're just seeing a glimmer of light. It did come off the hand of Atkinson, but it was outside the penalty area. And certainly off the chest of Ferreira. And we played an hour in Thailand. Well, you'd expect those possession stats. Heavily in favour of the team, still with their full complement of 11. Teague. Lovely pass out for Younis. Been well shackled though by Stojkovic so far, Marcus Younis. One chance that he got aside. Atkinson is then brought to ground on the edge of the box. And City will have a free kick in a very dangerous looking position. Atkinson somehow managed to wriggle clear of the first challenge. Stojkovic was determined not to let him pass for the return ball. Sore left knee for Nathaniel Atkinson. Scott Jamieson, the Melbourne City assistant coach, sharing a joke with somebody. He was the captain when City won the A-League title in 2021. They never went this far in the Champions League whilst he was playing. See if they can test Neil Etheridge. Seen one flash by him, a bicycle kick from Younis. As his Bates drives it straight into the wall. Teague sent it wide for Arzani. Back through Bajic. Nobody there at the back post for Melbourne City. Rather disappointing free kick in the end. Stojkovic standing firm in the wall. As is Bajic replaying that free kick in his head, no doubt. Thinking, why didn't I get more elevation? That came off Supriyan. 37 years of age now, Samuel Supriyan. Started to feel these conditions just a little bit. Mark Jackson's team has done well with 10 men. That'll bounce through for Patrick Beach. time here for Bajic. Teague. Finding Atkinson. Kuhn. Teague. Rahmani. Was that a cross? Was it a shot? Only he truly knows. Pretty tame, whatever it was in the end. Pretty sure it was an attempt at trying to pick out Arzani at the back post. Never really looked likely to succeed. Among the Buriram substitutes are new signing Kasper Juncker. Has won the Champions League with Urawa Red Diamonds. Signed from Nagoya Grampus in the January transfer window. When does Mark Jackson make his move? He's made 3 changes already, of course, 2 of which were enforced due to injury. Chasic. Marnie beaten to it by Pasoli. Here's Superchai. Peter Zool was calling for it at the back post. Superchai deciding to go on his own. Would have had to have been a very, very good shot to beat Patrick Beach from this distance and this angle. But as we approach the midway point of the second half, and despite heavy weight of possession, Melbourne City really have only produced that one opportunity. That bicycle kick for Marcus Eunice, who got a bottle that's been thrown onto the field, which the referee wants to dispose of. Henry starts with a free drop for the visitors. Atkinson. Melbourne City just out of ideas at the moment. They too may be looking towards their bench at some point. They have their top goal scorer, Max Caputo, in reserve. There's also one of the foreign arrivals in the close season, Elbasan Rashani. There's Ben Mazzeo, of course, who scored the equaliser off the bench in the first leg. Buriram, for their part, have the aforementioned Kasper Juncker and also the Spaniard Ruben Sanchez, who came off the bench in the first leg. It's good skill from Arzani. He's asking a lot of Mehmeti. Games between these two clubs in the AFC Champions League Elite have all really been tight affairs, and this one's been no different. Peter Zool's determination has won his team a throw-in. Kasper Juncker is almost ready to lend his weight to the Buriram cause. Is good, ready to lend his physical presence ahead of this throw from Filip Stojkovic. Looking to score against his former club, of course. Stojkovic's cross was blocked by Yunus. There's Kenny Dougal. It's too deep. Straight down the throat of Patrick Beach. Rather wasted opportunity, you might say, for Buriram. Rahmani. Bajic. Left that a little short of Arzani. Schindler, who started as a right winger in this game, but is now really playing more as a right back. It's too heavy for Rahmani. Now we're into the last 20 minutes at the Thunder Castle. Piderzul. Shins of Atkinson. Now Buriram want to make this change. Fourth official just a little slow with the boards. Now it's gone up, and Guillaume Masoli, who scored that unbelievable goal in the first leg, shakes his head at being called to the sidelines. Picked up a yellow card as well. Maybe that's part of Mark Jackson's thinking, but he doesn't look too happy, the Brazilian. And on in his place is Casper Juncker. Just his third appearance in Buriram colours, both off the bench in the Champions League Elite. 31-year-old Dane. He will go to the point of the Buriram attack. Ferreira finding Rahmani. Teague. Back through Ferreira again. City not really getting their passing game going. It's a real scrap for the ball. City come away with it. Atkinson. Certainly going to be a foul by Stojkovic. And there's going to be a booking for the Montenegrin defender. Just one too many on Atkinson. There's a little kick to that right knee, which took Atkinson's legs from under him. He's got a few words to say to Marcus Yunus as well, Filip Stojkovic. Breaks here for Mehmeti. Teague, as is Bajic joining in with the attack. Arzani, there are four waiting in the box if they can find the right delivery. In towards Atkinson at the far post, it's in! But the flag has gone up, I fancy, and the goal will not count. Nathaniel Atkinson stealing in on the back post. He's picked up another injury. Like Shillington, he's really been in the wars in the second half. Yeah, and he's clearly offside when Rahmani heads the ball on. It's a tidy finish. But clearly offside. Is he going to be able to continue, Nathaniel Atkinson? He'll certainly need some treatment, as will Neil Etheridge, who is his direct opponent in that confrontation. Just a coming together of limbs as they both went for the ball. Both teams really putting their bodies on the line in a bid for this oh so important spot in the last 8 of the AFC Champions League Elite. That's the reserve goalkeeper for Buriram, Chachai Bootprom, is just limbering up in case he is required. Very experienced goalkeeper, 39 years of age now. He's 3 years Neil Etheridge's senior. As tonight's attendance, nearly 23,000 on hand. Easily the biggest crowd that Melbourne City have played in front of this season. Rahmani climbed beautifully to help it on towards Atkinson. He finished tidily enough, but unfortunately for Melbourne City, he'd just gone too early. And the momentum carrying him on into Neil Etheridge. Both players suffering as a result. Big puff of the cheeks from Neil Etheridge. He's good to get on with things. Best clearance by Supriya, but City come away with the ball momentarily. There's Atkinson. Seemingly suffered no long-term effects from that injury. Yunus skips away from Stojkovic and is then dragged down by Dougal, and he too is going to go into the referee's notebook. What they used to call, maybe still even do, a professional foul. He knew that Yunus had skipped clear. Taking one for the team. So more pressure incoming on Neil Etheridge's goal. About the delivery from Daniel Arzani. It's too flat, easily out by Chausic. Arzani back in position on the right. It's going to be a Buriram throw. Peter Zool asking for help from the stands. He and his team must be getting towards the period of the game that they're getting a little tired, playing as they have done for all of the second half and half of the first with just 10 men, following the dismissal of his brother, Robert. We are starting to move towards the period of the game when Melbourne City, for some reason, have really come alive in this year's AFC Champions League Elite. Scorer of so many late goals, the Australian club. Is history going to repeat again tonight? Supriyan. Bajic. Supriyan being pressed by Juncker. Going long for Yunus. Couldn't skip away from Home Yong-sok, but he did well to recover. Rahmani. Bit of room now for Andreas Kuhn. Buriram stretched. Here's Arzani. Atkinson arriving. Maybe you should have played him in, Daniel Arzani. They get a corner, Melbourne City. Might have been more. Stojkovic getting the high fives from Curtis Good. Corner work short. Melbourne City will get another go, which will be their 5th corner of the game. Late change here for Melbourne City. Max Caputo on in place of Mehdi Mehmeti at the point of the attack for the visitors. He's their top scorer in all competitions with 10. Work short the corner. Rahmani towards the back post, but nobody there in City blue. Really got their crossing right. That's why already Abidmar is so frustrated. Needed to be a better delivery into the box. Into the final 10 minutes in Thailand. 0-0 on the night, 1-1 on aggregate. Extra time looming. At this point of the game, no one wants to be that player that makes the mistake. It leads to the crucial goal. Little error in distribution from Beach. Ko Myung Sok going long and high. A missed kick by both Rahmani and Stojkovic. Out of play off the head of German Ferreira. Jackson playing auxiliary ball boy there, catching that attempted pass from Patrick Beach. His team, if they are going to go through, have had to do it the hard way. Down to 10 men since the 21st minute. Ferreira, Buriram working really hard to try and keep their opponents penned into their own half of the field. Doing a pretty good job of it at the moment. Teague. No way Arzani or Caputo are going to reach that one. Just the first signs of tiredness from Melbourne City as well. Warm, muggy conditions, of course. It normally is in Southeast Asia. City have had the week's break. Not back in domestic action until next Tuesday when they host Sydney FC. Rahmani, Bajic, back through Atkinson, wide right is Younis, just manhandling Peter Zul. Clear infringement by the Melbourne City winger. Already a bit more increasingly frustrated with his team. Fifteenth foul of the game. Bajic to scamper forward. Marzani. Last 5 minutes. Marzani trying to seek out Max Caputo. Forward, and the chase is on here for Juncker. Acrobatics from Ferreira holds him at bay for now. And Teague has room for manoeuvre. It's handball surely against Dougal, who is on a yellow card. He's saying he didn't know anything about it. Interesting one. Late change for Melbourne City. Andreas Kuhn takes his leave, and Elbasan Rashani is with us. He scored his first and so far only City goal against Buriram in the 2-1 win in the league stage, match day 3. Late in 2025. See if lightning can strike twice for the cost of an international. Marnie, well, a tentative ball forward. Back with Bajic on halfway. Breaks for Supriyan. Better room for Arzani. That's going to be a corner off Schindler. Needed that touch though, because Yunus would have been in behind. City trying to switch things up. Yunus popping up on the left flank. Corner work short. Teague. Here's Bajic. Still plenty forwards for City if they can find the right cross. Easily seen away by Superchai in the first instance. And it's going to be a Buriram throw. Well, two coaches have now got to be thinking in terms of who's got enough petrol in the tank to get through the 90 minutes. Mark Jackson has made 4 changes. Radia Vidmar 3. Of course, do not discount a Melbourne City goal in injury time. We've seen so many of them in this year's Champions League elite. Got away from Arzani, might break here for Caputo. Good save by Etheridge. Just a futsal-style jab towards goal by Max Caputo. Needed saving though. City finally forcing a chance. All hands on deck for Buriram now. Got away from Arzani, but then favoured Caputo off Curtis Good. Beaten away by Neil Etheridge. Vuvuzelas a constant backdrop to what's been a very tense 90 minutes. We're about to find out how many minutes of injury time are to be added on. The answer is 5. That's plenty of time for Melbourne City. That looked like a foul on Ferreira. The referee's going to bring them back. And a yellow card issued to Peter Zuhl. To go with the red one for his brother in the first half. He was also booked to the first leg. He really cut Germán Ferreira in two. City now in the period of the game that they like the most, but Arzani quickly shut down by Juncker off the head of Ferreira. Arzani once again. Atkinson. Squared up for Bajic. Atkinson. Delivering too flat into the box. Off the head of Kenny Dougal. Jabbed vaguely wide by Teague. Arzani might have been a little high, but referee saw nothing untowards. Here's Younes. Too high for the Melbourne City attackers. It'll be retrieved though by Bajic. Can he find the angle for the cross? He does, but only partly away by Supachai. Rosani across the floor. And out by Kyo Myung Sok, who's almost on one leg as Buriram tire. It's that challenge on Peter Zuhl by Arzani that preceded that action. Arzani's corner, seen out by Schindler. Arzani again. More flight this time. Oh, the goalkeeper wanted it and grabbed it at the second attempt. Wanted to release the ball quickly. Caputo wouldn't let him. And there was a bit of shadow kung fu play there from Neil Etheridge. Well, he did pull out, but is the referee going to take action? Caputo desperate to stop the restart. Mark Jackson looking particularly nonplussed. At the end of all that, we're going to have that retaken. Well, already Vidmar's team have snatched draws or wins so many times late on in this year's competition. They're leaving this one very, very late if they are going to win the tie. Now the ball's been placed inside the penalty area. Oh, now VAR has called the referee across to have another look at the screen. checking a possible red card here. Well, certainly no contact is made with Caputo. The intent was certainly there, but he did pull out Etheridge. Is that enough for VAR to get involved and send off the Buriram goalkeeper? Initially, I thought it was given as a free kick for Buriram. A lengthy delay here. Well, I guess the accusation is that violent conduct, but given that he's made no contact with Caputo. Anyway, let's see what the verdict is. Well, the card's coming out. It's a yellow card. I'm not quite sure what to make of all that, if I'm being honest. Either it's violent conduct or it's not. Melbourne City now seeking their own explanations. If only we could hear those conversations. Maybe one day. After all those shenanigans, on we go. Probably still a good couple of minutes left. And that's a careless ball by Pereira. Zul looking to go around the outside and just win a corner for his team. Atkinson sends it forward for City. This might be the last meaningful attack. It's a rather wayward pass from Aziz Bayic, which is tidied up by Ko Myong-sok. Unless we're going to have very, very late drama here. We're going to require an additional 30 minutes at least to separate these two. No away goals rule in operation in the AFC Champions League Elite. Here's Rashani. Did City find a late chance? Again, across too flat. It's been the story for City all night. Supriya. Bayic. Is there one final chance? Into the 98th minute. Referee says no, that will do. Full time, and they cannot be split. Very tense 90 minutes. Buriram down to 10 after the dismissal of Robert Zul in the first half. They had a nervous wait to see if 10 became 9 as VAR checked on that challenge by Neil Etheridge on Max Caputo. In the end, it was just a yellow card. Both teams struggled to create chances, in all honesty. Full time, and it's 0-0 on the night, all square at 1-1 on aggregate, and into extra time and possibly penalties we will go. So, as it was in Melbourne, so it is in Buriram, all square after the 90 minutes. And we head into extra time. And after that, potentially penalties to decide a spot in the last 8. Melbourne City with the heavy weight of possession. You anticipated that after the 21st minute dismissal of Robert Zool. Neil Etheridge might have thought for a moment in stoppage time he was going to join his teammate in the stands after a VAR review, but just a yellow card, the verdict. City probably created the better of what was only a handful of chances in that second half. Marcus Yunus with a bicycle kick that went just wide. Nathaniel Atkinson did put the ball in the net, but that was ruled out for offside. And Max Caputo forcing one decent stop out of Etheridge. So Melbourne City get us back underway, the first period of extra time. 2 periods of 15 minutes to try and find a winner. And then we'll go to spot kicks. Here's Max Caputo with a big chance right at the start of the first period of extra time. The Buriram defence went to sleep. Only 18 seconds on the watch after the restart. And I think he was being played onside as well by Kyo Myong-sok. Curtis Good with his appeals to the referee's assistant, but Caputo struck his shot wide in any case. That's 2 decent sights of goal he's had. And the injury time curse didn't strike Buriram. Though very nearly caught cold right at the outset of extra time. Cyprian with the floated ball long off the head of Schindler and then the chest of Superchai. Foul by Arzani with a bit of help from Rahmani as well. Daniel Arzani's been involved an awful lot for Melbourne City tonight, but hasn't quite been able to find that killer pass or decent cross. The same for Yunus on the other flank. Here is Marcus Yunus. It's a real up and under. Drops for Peter Zool. Here's Dougal. Dougal committing the foul on Yunus. Got to be a little bit careful. The Buriram skipper already on a yellow card. Yeah, he's saying the referee, you know, that was 50-50. Next one, and it'll be a second booking, and you'll be off. Teague. Ferreira. Never looked likely to get over the top of Filip Stojkovic. Ferreira and Cyprian almost getting in each other's way. Rashani, who's really struggled with injuries since arriving at Melbourne City. Bajic. And Teague. Shani. Bajic had turned back towards the halfway line. Wasn't really the ball he wanted. muscled out of it by Ko Myong-sok. He too is just told to keep those arms down a little. Mark Jackson, who took over from Osmar Loss. That after Loss had won the quadruple with Buriram last season. Shows the sort of standards they set at this club. They want all 5 trophies this season. Here's Peter Zuul. Straight at Pereira. No way forward for Atkinson, but it will be a goal kick for Melbourne City. Yunus. 5 minutes of the first period of extra time have elapsed. Just that one big chance for Max Caputo. Cyprian. Buriram have had to work really hard to shift from side to side and cut off those passing lanes. Yunus with the cross. Straight down the throat of the goalkeeper. And there's a foul on Ko Myong-sok. That's what Melbourne City want their wingers to do. Get more balls into the box for the likes of Caputo. It was the offender on this occasion, catching Ko Myong-sok. Good readjustment by Peter Zuul. Thumped forward by Cyprian. Off Ko Myong-sok for a City throw. He's still feeling that earlier contact from Caputo. Rashadi. Arzani. Didn't release the ball quickly enough. As Bajic wanders away, muttering to himself. Past the midway point of the first period of extra time. No real indication as yet as to which of these two teams will take their place in the last 8. Join Machida Zelvia, who got their spot earlier on today, defeating Gangwon. Words exchanged between Dougal and Yunus. Chausic wants to have his say as well. None too friendly out there. Juncker going to chase this one down, and then his control lets him down at the vital moment. And he can't really even cite tiredness as an excuse, given that he was a late substitute himself. Caputo managed to stay onside. Arzani looking back post for Yunus. Beat in the air by Stojkovic. No way past Atkinson for Peter Zuul. Teague. Referee getting an inadvertent touch. So ironic cheers from the stands. He's had a good game, the referee. He's not missed too much. And he didn't miss that either. Eunice thinking about the cross. Rahmani didn't get enough on that return pass. Pereira wins it back. 10 minutes played, first period of extra time. It's too much for Nathaniel Atkinson. Mark Jackson keeping a change or two up his sleeve. Lawrence Wong is the latest introduction for Melbourne City at the expense of Daniel Arzani, the one who's come through the academy ranks at City. Buriram have got a player down injured at the moment. City don't care about that. Here's Ryan Teague. The fans certainly will if Melbourne City score from this. Seen away for now by Stojkovic. Here's Eunice towards Caputo. It's going to be a goal kick, and Buriram will now remonstrate with the officials, and that's why play wasn't stopped for the injury to Jonker. I think Marcus Eunice just fell onto Kasper Jonker, treading onto the foot of the Dane. Painful one. Bump between Marnie and Dougal. Awkward bouncy ball for Ferreira to deal with. Lawrence Wong back to lend a helping hand. And barging into the back. Well, at least that's what I thought of Kenny Dougal, but verdict's gone the other way. Like a foul by Wong, but handball given against the Buriram skipper. Teague, Bajic. Supriya. Squared up by Teague for Atkinson. Wide right is Marcus Eunice. Looking to take on Stojkovic. And to corner. Yeah, I'm not sure this is too friendly between the two of them. Marcus Eunice indicating that he feels Stojkovic is carrying a bit too much extra timber. Retribution for that at some point. Mind you, Stojkovic is on a yellow card, so he's got to be careful. Corner work short. Rahmani's cross helped away by Curtis Goods, and Supriyan is then impeding his man. Free kick for Buriram. Taking a ride on the back of Ko Myong-sok. Here is the latest change being pondered by Buriram. Another relatively recent arrival, Ruben Sanchez, who signed from AGMK in Uzbekistan in December of last year. Might have to wait until half-time and extra time to make his appearance. Just 30 seconds or so to run. Put forward by Teague. Chasic. Set down by Superchai. Chasic run the ball over the line. It's going to be a Melbourne City throw. Just 1 minute to be added at the end of the opening period of extra time. Peterzul has to wait for help to arrive in the shape of Stojkovic. Marnie stepping across. Left the ball behind, but fortunately for him, Lawrence Wong was in close attendance. Rashani's made a good run and wanted to be played in early. The shot only parried away by the goalkeeper. That's a better save by Etheridge. Well, he got lucky at the first attempt. I think a corner's been signalled. Younis opted to go himself from outside the penalty area. The bounce might have made it awkward, then Rashani with the follow-up. And yes, the ball did bounce behind for a Melbourne City corner. Buriram giving thanks to their goalkeeper. Teague's corner did not go where Superchai intended it to. And the referee's whistle for half-time in extra time means it won't be a second corner in succession for Melbourne City, but they had the better chances in that first period of extra time. Two saves from Neil Etheridge, who's limping as well. One big chance for Max Caputo right at the outset of that opening period of extra time. But the stalemate endures. Half-time and extra time, Buriram 0, Melbourne City 0, still 1-1 on aggregate. So the medical team's working overtime to try and get some energy back into those tired legs. Still goalless between Buriram and Melbourne City, 1-1. remains the score over the course of the two legs. Fresh legs about to arrive for Buriram, and it's going to be one of their second half substitutes, Kasper Juncker, to be replaced. He did pick up that injury when he was trodden on by Marcus Yunus, so Kasper Juncker off, Ruben Sanchez on for Buriram. That's the change, with 15 minutes of this tie left. And Buriram get us back underway. 15 minutes to decide it in normal play. And if there's no score, then we will go to penalties. And just on penalties, confirmation of that change for Buriram. Ruben Sanchez for Kasper Juncker. Melbourne City have only ever been involved in 2 penalty shootouts in their history, and they've lost them both. One in the A-League semi-finals back in 23-24. One in the Australia Cup in 2021. See if they can finish the job before then. The onus still really has to be on Melbourne City, given that they've played for so long with that extra man. Here's their captain, Aziz Bayic. Rashani. It's good defending by Kingsley Schindler. There's Kamian Rahmani, might open up for him. And Curtis Good took all the sting out of that one. And Etheridge eventually just plops onto the ball. Atkinson, who did at least put the ball in the back of the net in the second half, but ruled out for offside flag. Correctly raised on the replays. Schindler. Deflection favours Bayic. Mentioned Melbourne City's rather bleak record in penalty shootouts. Buriram United's is rather better. They've won their last 2, including in the ASEAN Club Championship final of last season, where they defeated Kongan of Hanoi by 6 successful conversions to 5. Nice touch from Ruben Sanchez, showing us what he can do. Melbourne City quickly back in control of the ball, as they have been for most of this second leg. Buriram proving very resilient. Befitting of a team that has won 4 consecutive domestic championships in Thailand. Here's Lawrence Wong. Rahmani. Yunus. Turned by Teague. A loose ball should favour Neil Etheridge. Squirmed away from the goalkeeper. Under pressure from Younes. And now Etheridge goes to ground. And may well need some attention. Jackson will have one more chance to influence his players if we go to penalties. I'm sure the list has already been decided as Atkinson launches it into the box. They will have practiced spot kicks, no doubt, in the build-up to the knockout stage. Nothing really can replicate taking a kick in such a high-pressure situation. And Ferreira left it a little bit short. Just about managed to get enough on that to get it back to Patrick Beach. Helped on by Bajic. Rashani, good use of the body. Still with the Kosovan. City get the throw. Only single digits remaining now in terms of minutes. Bajic, can he find the right cross? Seen out by the excellent Ko Myong-sok. And then subsequently by Dougal. City quickly back on the ball. Lawrence Wong slaloming his way through. Gets it out wide. Teague's delivery. Back post was Younes. And did he manhandle Stojkovic? He did. And Stojkovic punches the air. Almost an exhaustion, I fancy. And relief that he can have a second or two's breather. He made the most of it, but there was contact. Here's that pass back by Germán Ferreira. Just about enough juice on that one. Tough as teak, Argentine defender who played in the Copa Sudamericana many years ago during his days in his homeland. There he is making the sliding challenge and then giving the ball away to Superchai, who has Schindler wide right. He'll go for goal. It was a decent effort, in fairness. Well held by Patrick Beach. A shot on target to encourage the home supporters. Younes still sprightly enough to chase his own header. Gets the throw off Ruben Sanchez. Atkinson sneaking forwards, running the ball over the line for a goal kick. And Stojkovic imploring for more help from the stands. There are some very, very tired limbs out there. The head of Ruben Sanchez, he claims he was fouled. Gesticulating to the referee that he got a push. Here's that previous effort from Superchai, which was heading goalwards. 42 caps for the Thai national team, Superchai Chaidets, to give him his full name. Just Buriram's second shot on target of the night. Bajic wanting an option. Just over 5 minutes to go. Here's Ryan Teague. It's going to be a corner, and Buriram think it shouldn't be. And I have to say, I think they've got a case here. Replay will be instructive. It seemed to bounce back off Rashani, and they will be furious if Melbourne City score from this set piece. Supriyan lurking at the back post, being marshalled by Ko Myong-sok. All awaiting Teague's delivery towards Ferreira at the near post. Easily defended in the end. And Rahmani having to make a long bursting run, some 40-50 metres back to deny Ruben Sanchez possession of the football. Atkinson angled it too close to the goalkeeper. Let's have another look at this. The camera angle just a little too tight for us to see definitively. But at first glance, I thought Goran Chausic had a case. Teague looking to exploit the fatigue of Filip Stojkovic, who's one out again in his personal battle with Marcus Younis. Already Vidmar and Mark Jackson, no doubt, thinking now about their list for the penalty kick takers and whether they've got the identities correct. There is Robert Zuul, who was dismissed as early as the 21st minute. That's his brother Peter. He's one of several players who've been booked in the interim. Buriram have defended their goal pretty well since going down to 10 men. Can they hold out that bit longer? Referee just halted the game here for the moment. A little coming together between Ruben Sanchez and Germán Ferreira. Seemed to be something and nothing. VAR is checking a possible red card here. Ferreira looking completely confused. Kenny Dougal none the wiser. It's that little lash out perhaps from Ferreira that they're looking at, as he tried to rid Sanchez of the arms around him. I don't think any contact is made, but that won't necessarily save Germán Ferreira. Let's see what the verdict is. Oh, red card for Germán Ferreira and a yellow card for Ruben Sanchez. Goodness me. Well, this game has had everything but goals, and both teams are going to finish here with 10 men. I'm not sure Ferreira made a huge amount of contact with Ruben Sanchez as they battled for the ball. He was angry that the arms were around him, the Argentine. It's no more than a slap, really, and he doesn't make any contact. Is that a red card? Well, the officials in VAR thought so, and that is the important bit. Well, if Germán Ferreira was about to take a penalty, then Melbourne City need a rethink. Mark Jackson's had a long time to consider the fact that he will be without Robert Zool in any shootouts. That looks all but inevitable now. It's the 15 minutes of the second half of extra time up. And we're into the first of 3 added minutes at the end of that. And it's now 10 against 10. Sent forward by Bajic. Returned by Stojkovic. Atkinson. Now they've got a man over here. Yunus, can he pick out Caputo? Well, that was a key moment. It's really well defended by Ko Myong-sok. Under serious pressure from Caputo. For once, Yunus escaped the clutches of Filip Stojkovic, who was out of position. And the Korean defender did really well. Still the throw to come. Atkinson launches it long. Rashani can't reach it. Superchai sends it forward. And out for a throw off, Lawrence Wong. It's been a long night, a tense night for those supporters. They're very much back in the game now. Off the head of Ruben Sanchez, here's Peter Zool. They can commit more numbers forward now, Buriram, if they want. It's going to be a corner. A chance for Buriram to win it right at the end. Who would have thought we'd be saying that? Are we set for some late drama here? Ko Myong-sok has made his way forward. We're into the last minutes of injury time. Even the Buriram directors on their feet. Could this be the moment for them? Peter Zool with the corner. Towards the back post. It's not away yet for Melbourne City. And it just struck one of the Buriram players in the face and then fired over the crossbar in the end by Kenny Dougal. He did well to set himself for the opportunity, but just wouldn't sit for the Australian international, who could have driven a dagger through the hearts of his countrymen there. Mark Jackson puts his head to his hands. And now it's all in the gift of the referee as we move over into the 4th minute of added time. And Aurelio Vidmar wanting to make a late change here. And there might need to be some medical attention for Ko Myong-sok as well. We could be here all night. Oh, nasty bang to that right eye for the Korean. And here's how he got it. Straight in the face. That attempted clearance was very nearly the best assist he'll ever put on in his career for Kenny Dougal. It's signalling that a change will need to be made. The Buriram skipper perhaps reasoning that should he be required to take a penalty, Ko Myong-sok might well be slightly concussed. Eduardo Mancha, the tallest of the quartet there in the back row, he came off early with a groin problem. Shinapat is being readied if required. He doesn't want to come off. I think he's going to be forced to. He's had a good game. So here is Shootout. He's barely going to have time to break sweat. And Samuel Supriyan has also been replaced in that last phase of play by Emir Durakovic as the referee brings the second period of extra time to a close. That late chance for Kenny Dougal was the final chance for either team to win it in extra time. Melbourne City had their moments as well, but a quarter-final spot is going to be decided by penalty kicks. After two legs, they cannot be separated. 0-0 on the night. And over two legs, it's Buriram United 1, Melbourne City 1. So 120 minutes, didn't produce a goal. It did produce two red cards, one for either side. And we're about to have further drama with that place in the last eight of the AFC Champions League Elite still undecided. Two goalkeepers at either end of the age spectrum. The experience of Neil Etheridge, 82 full caps for the Philippines, and the youth of Patrick Beach, who's just only recently made his debut for Australia and took his instructions in the stands from the City goalkeeping coach. City are going to go first through Max Caputo. Always so important to get off to a positive start. It's felt that the onus is with the team that takes the first kick, but of course only if they score. So Caputo against Etheridge, and he sends the goalkeeper the wrong way. And Melbourne City take an early advantage in the penalty shootout. Really good, calm, composed spot kick by Max Caputo, belying his 20 years. Scorer of 3 goals in the Champions League elite in 25-26. Up first for Buriram is their captain, Goran Chausic, who's scored twice against Melbourne City before in the Champions League elite. One of them a penalty. Let's see if he's successful this time up against Patrick Beach. Well, he went the right way, the goalkeeper, but it was too good. And we're all square at 1-1. Kept his eyes initially on the goalkeeper. Picked his spots. And it was judged to perfection. Mark Jackson not daring to look. That's how tense it all is out there. Ryan Teague is the next taker for Melbourne City as they seek to restore their advantage at 2-1. Oh, it's a good save. Really good save by Neil Etheridge. Flying away high to his left to palm the ball away. Advantage Buriram in the shootout. Well, it was struck well enough from Ryan Teague, but maybe a little too close to the keeper. And Etheridge was able to make the block. Now Buriram seeking to ram home their advantage. Kingsley Schindler with the responsibility to give them the lead for the first time in the shootout. Patrick Beach being told he must stand on the line, at least have part of the boots on the line. Does that perturb the taker? Schindler dispatches with no problems, and Buriram lead 2-1. Very confidently taken penalty by the Ghanaian. And that places enormous pressure now on Aziz Bayic, the Melbourne City skipper. If he misses this one and Buriram score, they are almost there. Aziz Bayic, oh, and again Etheridge plunges to his left and makes the save. A second miss for Melbourne City. Buriram score their next kick, and they're almost home. Aziz Bayic, so often the hero in an Australian context, but seeing his kick beaten away by Neil Etheridge, and City can see their chances slipping away. Up next is Peter Jules, whose brother Robert was sent off after 21 minutes of this second leg, which gave Buriram a mountain to climb. Now he can put them one giant step towards the quarter-finals. So important for Melbourne City. Patrick Beach saves this one. No problems for Zul. It's 3-1. And now Melbourne City must score with their next kick, or it's Buriram's game. No chance for Patrick Beach. Curtis Good leading the celebrations against his former club. And now the equation is simple for Marcus Younis. He must score. His cross for Ben Mazzeo perhaps kept Melbourne City in it in the first leg with that late equaliser in stoppage time. If he doesn't score this, it's all over. Younis against Etheridge, and he keeps it alive for a little bit longer and draws the score back to 3-2. But Buriram still have chances to win this. Robert Sewell watching on. And Kenny Dougal, the Australian, has the chance to knock the Australian club out of the competition. This kick to win it, and Kenny Dougal sends Buriram through to the last 8 of the AFC Champions League elites. It's for the 3rd time in their history, and for the 2nd season in a row, Melbourne City's best ever campaign in the competition draws to a close. They had their chances to win it, and perhaps should have done, after Buriram were reduced to 10 men after just 21 minutes with the dismissal of Robert Sewell. German Ferreira was dismissed as well for City late on. Nathaniel Atkinson had a goal ruled out for an offside flag, and in the end they couldn't be split over the 2 legs. It went to spot kicks. Neil Etheridge pulled off 2 big saves, and Kenny Dougal dispatched the winning kick against his countrymen to send the Thai club through to the last 8. A night of tension in the end, a night of high drama in Thailand. Mark Jackson can finally breathe easy. His skipper did the job for him in the end. From 11 metres, Nuit Chichop, the owner of Buriram United, could celebrate as well. The party will go on long into the night in Buriram province. They are through to the last 8 for the 2nd year in a row. They had to do it the hard way tonight, but in the end, their goalkeeper came up big in the shootout with 2 massive saves. Robert Sewell says his apologies. Buriram don't care. After 2 tense ties, they go through 4-2 on penalties.